What is going on, everyone? It's your guy Cole Jackson back here on Road Graders, and today we're going to be diving into the Baltimore Ravens red zone offense. It's a huge reason why they lost yesterday. It's been a huge issue that's been plaguing this football team all year. This video, as always, is brought to you by our friends at ProfitX. With more on them here in a minute. We're going to dive into this because I think it's been a huge piece that just hasn't got enough attention. So, uh, they now rank 27th over the year in red zone offense in terms of touchdown conversion rate at 44.44% of their red zone drives have resulted in a touchdown. And in their last three, they're dead last at 32. And I believe the rate was 27% in their last three games. So, I mean, some of those ranks might change based on there's 4 Monday Night Football games, but you guys get the idea. Bottom of the league in terms of converting TDs in the red zone. Huge piece of that is obviously not having Lamar Jackson, but they were struggling with this even prior to Lamar Jackson being out. Go back to that Lions game, they had those issues down on the goal line. So we're going to talk about some of the key factors in this game. I will make it very clear that some of this is, I think, related to Todd Monken, because I think we have a tendency for the play calling to get a little too cute, for lack of a better word, down in the red zone. And some of this is also just your front five. When you get down there and you look at the defensive line alignment when you're inside the 5 yard line, they just cover every gap, right? So you got to go big on big, and your guys have to make bodies move. And this has been a fundamental issue that this offensive line has been facing. Before we jump into it, all offensive line related videos are brought to you by our friends at One Bone. Bullet tees, everywhere tees. I always get the split hem because I'm short. Go over there, check them out. Use promo code ColeJackson15 for 15% off. The One Bone offensive line collection is out. Creed Humphrey's wearing it. Lane Johnson sponsoring it. Huge O-line sponsors. So let's jump into it here. Get into the film. Pop it up here. All right, so we're gonna start. So this was the this was their first drive. So the Ravens move the ball pretty effectively. As soon as they get into the red zone, the penalties come up. So I want to be very clear that the issue here was more on penalties plaguing the Ravens, not so much the offensive line execution or the play calling. But it is very unfortunate to see happen. So you're going to get a sweep play here where you get two pullers. And Daniel Falele, if you focus on 77, he's the one that gets called for holding, brings him back 10 yards. And just before we play it, very critical play, because this would have set up 3rd and 1 at the LA 6. I know the Ravens were going to be going for this. We would have got into some later problems where they're kind of in a short yardage situation. They struggled with it later on. Probably, they're going to struggle again, but obviously huge momentum drive here. And, opening with 6 points in what this game turned into be a first half slot fest would have been big. So focus on Daniel Falele. They're going to pull. I'll show you the play design here in a second too. So he's going to come across and block number 8. I believe that's Byron. Yeah, no, it's Jared Verse. And there you can see the little hold. So the play design on this one, very simple. You're going to get a double team from your left guard and your left tackle on 91. So they're going to double team. You're going to get Rashad Bateman, who makes a hell of a block on the DB here, number 3, which gave Henry so much room to go for a run here. And then Falele is going to pull through, take out the first edge. And you can see Zay Flowers up top here. So he motions, and that's supposed to pull the linebackers that way. So the whole idea is to get the linebackers flowing to the Zay Flowers motion, which goes to the wide side of the field. And then you run buck sweep back to the opposite side with 2 pullers. And the whole idea is Falele comes down as the first puller, takes out the edge player, kick out block or seal him, and then that allows Charlie Kolar to be the lead blocker on this one. And I thought the play design worked out really well, so I'm not criticizing the play design here. It's just unfortunate. I honestly didn't think this was a holding call. You can see, I'll pause it here in a second. So there goes that Zay Flowers motion. See how it pulls 51, 53 is pointing to it. So it does its job. There's Rashad Bateman taking that little scoop step to climb up to Cam Curl. Number 3, Jared Verse is going to come across. That's Daniel Falele's guy. Falele is going to make the contact here. There goes Kolar. Ideally, we want to see Falele turn him inside a little bit more, but I mean, Verse came downhill pretty hard. So there's where that sets up. There's Falele doing his job. You see that seal block there from Rashad Bateman. Really nice block. Kolar is going to come around, and then you got Kolar as the lead blocker. 14 gets kicked out. Henry's going to run through contact. So if we go back and take a look at the Henry or the Falele hold, it's one of those plays where if you look from the end zone, like the back judge threw the flag on this one. So right here, as he comes across, Verse gets back outside the leverage point. And this is something that the Ravens O-line has struggled with mightily, is maintaining those leverage points. So his left hand, you can't see it because of the angle. His left hand is grabbing jersey. That's usually how these run blocks go. But like right here, this does look like it'd be a typical holding call. The problem was, I don't think Jared Verse was stepping hard enough to make a play out there. Like it was just one of those plays where I believe the rule, the language of the rule, it has to be preventing Jared Verse's movement. Jared Verse was coming inside. He wasn't going back outside. So there was a hold because he does get his head back across to the outside, but he wasn't actually moving to the outside until after. So I don't know. Those plays I just find very ticky-tacky because when guys get out in space, this happens quite a bit, and I think they'd be throwing flags nonstop. Nonetheless, doesn't matter. Then we get into the fourth down play, or sorry, third and that would have been 3rd and 10. So the very next play, the Ravens move back, obviously. And then you get the Cooper Rush scramble. So focus on Ronnie Stanley here. He's going to get called for holding. That backs him up again. This would have set up 4th and 1. So you can see Verse just crosses Stanley's face, and Stanley runs him into the ground. Rush takes off. That sets up 4th and 1. I think the Ravens are going for that. So penalties kill them early in this game. But then we get into this. This was really the big drive to me. Now, obviously, this if they score on this, it's right at the end of. It was right before halftime. So the Rams would have got the ball back. Maybe they go down and score, but maybe they go into halftime with a 10-3 score. And the way this game was playing out, I think that's a huge advantage. I think it really changes the way the trajectory of this game goes because the Rams come out, they score, then they just take off with the lead. The Ravens, with their current offensive setup, much better playing with the lead. So this was a pretty big one. So they're going to open here on first. So they're on the 4. So it's first and goal on the Rams 4. So they're just going to go power here. They're going to motion Kolar across. So big difference here. So someone commented on last week's video when I was looking at the run game, talking about how there's usually a double team on power. You were absolutely right. The difference is last week they kept running weak side power, so that kick out block, they didn't have numbers to be double teaming on the 3 tech. Now you can see them. They're going to the strong side of their formation. So they brought Kolar across. They have the fullback split out there. So now they have numbers to double team. So you're going to get the double team from Falele and Roger Rosengarten on the 3 tech. That's where the gap is. It's going to go right off Roger Rosengarten's down block. Voorhees is going to pull. This play goes pretty well. Really, the only one that loses their block is Tyler Linderbaum there. Henry's going to come up the middle, get it down to the 1 yard line. So now and this is just the play design. So there's that double team from Voorhees, from Falele and Rosengarten. You're going to get that kick out block from Mitchell Payton on the edge player. Kolar is going to climb to the 2nd level. Tyler Linderbaum is the only one that loses his block here. So he's got to keep that head on the inside leverage point. I don't think they're scoring. This is where the numbers game, you don't have enough blockers to defenders in the box because everything gets condensed in the red zone, not even the red zone. When you're inside your own 5, they just get into their goal line defense. So you're going to see Tyler Linderbaum. He's got to snap and then keep that head inside of his guy. You can see right there that blue helmet is popping to the inside, and you see him come through. So you see the down blocks there. Voorhees is going to hit his pull, and this is why Henry running downhill in the red zone is such a big deal, because once he has a bit of steam, he's falling forward even if he's contacted behind the line of scrimmage. That's why when you're on the 1 yard line, I want to see him running the ball because he's just falling forward through the tackles. They come out on 2nd and goal on the 1 yard line, and they're going to go back-to-back QB sneaks. So you see them sprint up to the line, Mark Andrews in there, and they're just going to try and QB sneak. And so you guys have been watching the tush push from the Eagles. Essentially, what you're getting your offensive line to do is submarine. And then Mark Andrews, just like Jalen Hurts does, is going to go right across the top of their bodies. So you need the biggest thing. It isn't even so much the drive from the offensive line that makes the tush push effective. It's the timing of the snap. Now, a lot of people have been focusing on the tush push and the fact that it looks like those offensive linemen are leaving early. But it's the timing of that snap. And you're going to see two things here. So as they go, you can see right there, see that blue helmet? So that blue helmet comes through because that's what the defensive line is going to do on these. They're just going to try and get low and let their linebackers come over them. And it basically becomes submarine from the offensive defensive line, and then the quarterback and the pushers on the offense against the linebackers coming across. And they're just basically meeting. It's become such a silly play. But this is where, everybody says the tush push should stay legal because the Eagles just execute it better. And that's really what happened here. They had 1 yard to get, and it isn't even like it's hard to look at it and say they didn't drive block and they didn't move bodies. I don't think they timed the snap well, but they come out and they run the same thing again. So this is where my frustration with Todd Monken comes. You're on the 1 yard line. They have actually run the tush push pretty well with Mark Andrews running it. So it's not so much that, but it's when I'm on the 1 yard line, I don't have Lamar Jackson in the game. The only person I want running that ball is Derrick Henry. I have enough faith that if I do it enough, he's just going to fall forward and get into the end zone. If I can't trust my offensive line to just execute those run plays, then we have a huge issue. So they're going to come out, they're going to do it again, and you're going to see the same thing. And they just don't get the push. The Rams timed it better than them. They didn't have, they try and do the butt slap into it, and they just can't get it done. So then they come out, and this play really is a microcosm of the Ravens' red zone issues. So when I say they get too cute, and if you go back to that Lions game, because if you go back to the Lions game, you could say, Cole, what are you talking about? They ran it I think it was 3 out of the 4 times with Henry, and they didn't get in. They get too cute. They don't just run downhill. They have to pull someone. They have to have, in that Lions game, they tried to pull outside, and it was a pin and pull. And you're outnumbered. You got to get downhill, run your zone that you've been running all game against the Rams. They were struggling to stop that outside. It was a wide zone run game. Because what it would do is it would just move the ball to the tackle, but it would create those cutback lanes because it's wide zone. And so here what you get is you bring Corey Bullock in, number 67, as the 6th offensive lineman, and they're going to try and run a trap concept. So they're going to motion Kolar across. And so you see 55, 57, whoever the linebacker is right across from Bullock right now. The motion from Kolar is supposed to pull that entire defense over. He only moves over one gap. So you have 1, 2, 3 offensive linemen, a fullback and a running back. You have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, plus a shade inside from the other linebacker. You don't have the numbers to run this. If they run this off tackle and you ask Corey Bullock to reach block the edge player, you ask Noteboom to reach block the 6 tech, and you just push this to the edge, then you're going to get Mitchell Payton on either cutting inside off of one of these guys, or if you just run it inside. There's just so many different options. But what they're going to do is they're going to ask Bullock and Noteboom to down block to the right. So they're going to take that hard right step. They're going to block the 6 tech and the 3 tech, and then they're going to pull Andrew Voorhees to the outside. So what has to happen here is Voorhees has to kick out that edge player, and then Mitchell Payton becomes the lead blocker into that linebacker. But as you can see here, Voorhees and Mitchell Payton are blocking the same guy. And this is where it just gets too cute. Here's the play design. So what needs to happen here is Bullock and Noteboom are going to hit those, I would call them down blocks, because Bullock is going to have to take an inside step here because someone's lined up on his head. Noteboom just down blocks. Then the right side of your line from the center, right guard, and right tackle, they're just cutting off. So they just need to cut off the inside shoulder of their guys. They don't need to necessarily drive block anyone. if they take a step and it forces them to take an inside step, that's fine because it's going to the left. So they need to basically force their defenders to come inside on them on their right shoulder or to cut off block and just kind of cut and take them out. So what's going to happen here is, again, Voorhees is going to pull. The aim point is going to be that edge player, which I believe is Jared Verse. So Voorhees is going to come out, and Voorhees needs to kick him out so that Mitchell Payton can go inside of him. And the reason I say that is because if you look at the step from Derrick Henry, get to it. So at first I thought maybe this was supposed to go outside, but watch where the handoff point is. So the handoff point is inside. So that's what makes me think Voorhees should be kicking him out. Mitchell Payton should be going between Voorhees and Bullock and getting that linebacker. And that's just not what happens. Voorhees doesn't get there quick enough. He doesn't drive him out of the way. And Mitchell Payton ends up running into the same guy. And then it forces Derrick Henry to basically jump cut outside, which is not what you want. And then he's just going to get gang tackled. So it's kind of failure after failure from this offensive line. They're flawed and they're they're just flawed in so many ways when they get down there. And again, it stems from Todd Monken just being too cute. Run downhill. It's been working all game when you're not, but then they have to pull someone. It was the exact same issue they had in that Lions game. Before we move any further, do you want to give a shout out to our friends at Profit X who are sponsoring this video? Monday Night Football tonight, and I think that Buffalo spread is actually pretty juicy. Atlanta is coming off a bye, but you can see there it's minus 101 for the minus 3.5 spread. You're getting better odds here than on any other sports book because that's usually starting at 110 at a minimum. So go over to Profit X. You're getting better odds. It's a peer-to-peer exchange. It's not against the sports book. That's why the odds are better. Go over there. Use promo code ROADGraders. You'll get up to $200 Profit X cash back. And that's just more money for you guys. Bigger bets, bigger winnings, and better odds. Profit X, huge advantage. So get over there. Check it out. Jump on my play there. All right, so let's keep rolling. We get Tyler Huntley's drive now. So Tyler Huntley comes in. They're down 17-3, and wearing the Joe Flacco 5. That really throws me off. So he's going to come in, and this is just a pass protection failure. So this is something that the Ravens have struggled with for weeks now, going back to that Lions game. So you can see they have a 5-man line. They're almost in it's kind of a modified bear front. So you got a 0 tack right over the center. You got 4 tacks over both tackles, and then you got 2 edge players outside. So it's a wider bear front, but the concept's similar. So if you're going on a big on big protection, then that means no boom, Rosengarten kicking out. So the big thing becomes what happens if a linebacker blitzes. So you're going to see the Mike on the strong side of the field is going to step up there, and then both are going to come. So what happens is Voorhees is going to step inside, and he plays this right. No boom doesn't read this play post snap. So as the linebackers step up, if we focus on the left side of this offensive line, see how that linebacker steps up. Everybody adjusts to the inside guy coming, except for no boom. So Voorhees, it looks like Voorhees just lets him go, but that's because typical offensive protection rule is you block the inside man. You leave the outside guys because they have a longer path to the quarterback. It becomes the quarterback's responsibility to throw hot when the number of pressure outmans the protection. So as you see him approach, Voorhees reads it post snap. No boom doesn't. Nobody blocks the defensive tackle. He just gets right to Tyler Linderbaum. We talk about this every week. I've done a pass protection video every single week, and every single week there's a play like this. They cannot get their pass protections figured out. It continues to haunt this team, and this time it haunts them in the red zone. Now, that would have, if they score there, it makes it 17-10. Maybe it doesn't change the game. I think there was only 5 minutes left, but it was unfortunate because Tyler Huntley moved the ball. The Ravens are moving the ball. There's a little bit of momentum. It's just unfortunate because this just constantly happens. That was on second down, but then they're behind the sticks. So it's led to more failures. Now, I want to go back to a point earlier in the game. So this was the drive right after John Jenkins strip sack. So they're 3rd and 2 here, and it's 3-0 at this point. So this, again, another momentum moment. I think they're on the LA 40. So they still have some yards to go here before they're in the red zone. But this just speaks to Todd Monken's decision making, because you have Justice Hill on the field on 3rd and 2. And they're going to, but again, you can criticize the play call all you want, but whatever the play call is, guys have to execute. And Roger Rosengarten is going to have a really rough 2 plays here. So they're going to end up calling a zone play here with Justice Hill. But I just want to point that out because I like Justice Hill, but my God, when I see these short yardage situations, just give me Derrick Henry. Spam Derrick Henry. I'll live with losing if guys don't execute, if they don't score, if they don't get the first down. I'll live with it because the process to get there of getting Derrick Henry on the field is the correct one. So they're going to come out. They're just going to run zone to the left. This play has been working all day. You see right here, the linebacker is going to come down and mug right over the inside of the B gap here, where Roger Rosengarten is. So he just has to not cut block. He has to cut off this linebacker when he runs zone. And so you're going to see as the snap goes, this is just a cutoff block. And you see Daniel Falele actually takes care of his guy quite well. Justice Hill has a nice cut lane here if Roger Rosengarten can just seal block there. And you can see he just can't. And that was against Jared Verse too. So just kind of the same thing over and over again, where this front 5 just consistently can't get it done. They were having a hell of a game until that point, and then you just get one blown block, puts them, that was a -1. Now they're 4th and 3. They decided to go for it, and you're going to see Roger Rosengarten get beat. I think Rush throws it away to Zay Flowers here. I hate throwing it away on 4th down. It just drives me nuts. You're going to get a nice little mesh route here, actually, from Hopkins is going to come across and Hill, and you're going to see the 2 defenders run into each other, but the pressure on the right side of the line. So you're going to get Rosengarten loses quicker, but Falele also loses. So you just get losses on the right side of your offensive line and pass protection. You can see right there. So as the pressure comes, you can see Falele is losing inside. He's looking right. But this little mesh concept from Hopkins and Hill, which is your check down, if they're able to give a little bit more of that support, then look at Hill. So I think they actually have an opportunity to convert there just with that check down. So unfortunately, the Ravens continue to be plagued by these issues. My screen is going all whack here. It just continues to be a problem. So, drop a comment down below. Let me know what you guys think. I'm looking forward to hearing from you. What did you think the biggest issue was with this? That's just kind of what I saw in terms of broader narratives. So drop a comment down below. Hit that like button if you enjoyed this breakdown. Hit subscribe if you're new here. And thank you to our friends at ProfitX for sponsoring this video.